Right smack in the middle of d'accord is the letter C, and that C stands for consul. Peter Strickland was a consul who led a life that not a lot of people knew about, but luckily he left behind a legacy of 2,500 pages of a diary. When I learned that Peter Strickland had spent as long as 23 years in one post, I was amazed, because such longevity would be inconceivable for a diplomat these days. And I hastened to contact the office of the historian of the State Department to say, was this a record? It's always nice to claim records. And they wrote back to say, far from it. Horatio Jones Sprague was our consul in Gibraltar from 1848 to 1901. So 53 years, and I withdrew my plea. The U.S. Consular Service was opened in 1792 as part of the State Department, and the job of consuls was to promote American commerce and to protect American interests abroad. Peter Strickland was a Connecticut Yankee who never sought this post, but he was asked by the State Department, which in itself is quite rare. He had made his reputation as a sea captain. When he arrived in Senegal, he decided that he would live on the island of Gorée, which some of you know, and geographically, he was in Africa. So this is an island off the coast of Senegal where he lived, but administratively he was in France, a French colony. So think about that juxtaposition of being physically in an area, but the hierarchy that he would deal with was a hierarchy from Paris, the French Empire. Strickland actually thought that his hierarchical superior was the American minister in Paris, whose name was Levy Parsons Morton. And he sent his first consular dispatch to Paris. And then they said, why don't you read the consular regulations? And he read the 600 pages of the consular regulations. And from then on, he sent his dispatches to the Assistant Secretary of State. These dispatches are available on microfilm, and I purchased them from the National Archives. So we have a man who is important not only for his consular longevity, for his being a sea captain, and during that tenure he commanded sailing vessels from Boston and New London to the coast of West Africa, and he made over 100 voyages. What did he take in his vessels? Well, in the merchant marine at that time, what he took to Africa was mainly leaf tobacco. Leaf tobacco from Kentucky and from Tennessee that he would take in barrels. And what did he bring back? Well, he brought back in the hull of his sailing vessels peanuts. And peanuts is today the main export crop of Senegal, as it was then. He also brought back animal skins. And the animal skins were used to make shoes for Civil War soldiers. And since he was from the North, it was for the Union soldiers. At age 19, Strickland started a diary, and his last entry of this daily diary was at age 83. Now, if you know of someone, or if you yourself have kept a diary for 64 years, please raise your hand. Writing about it. And in this room, several years ago, a kind soul suggested to me that I learn about a group called the Washington Biography Group. This is a group that gets together on a monthly basis in a Russian dacha on the grounds of the Washington International School. It's led by Mark Pachter, director of the Portrait Gallery. And at these meetings, Mark Pachter graciously invites 3 categories of people to attend. People who are writing biographies, people who like to talk about writing biographies, and people who are in danger of becoming the subject of a biography. And when we get together, we look at a lot of problems that confront authors of biographies. Sometimes these are problems regarding marketing. Sometimes they're problems regarding sources and getting authorizations. One of the questions that we discuss, for instance, is the difficulty of getting permission from heirs to use personal letters. In the case of Peter Strickland, so the line died out, and there are no family heirs present today. So I was not, in a way, this favored me because I didn't have problems with heirs, but I also was not able to obtain memorabilia which might have stayed in the family. For instance, he wrote that he sent 6 ostrich eggs and a stuffed crocodile. Well, I couldn't get to see those and meet those. He also sent half a ton of decorative objects from Africa. That would have been nice, but I couldn't do that. I would like to read one brief extract from his diary, written the year that he went to Africa. This is 1864, end of the Civil War. Peter Strickland was 27 years old. 1 month ago today, I left my home in New London to go, I then knew not whither, but I now find it was for Africa. It does not seem so long, but time in certain circumstances flies very quickly. To look ahead, a lifetime seems a long period, and in some cases it may no doubt seem long. But if I am permitted to live to old age and look back on my lifetime, as I do now, and in the same light, I shall no doubt think that it has been short. I shall think how like a hurried dream it has all been. I hope that you will enjoy hearing and reading about Peter Strickland's hurried dream.